2. The Builders. Detach from fixed ideas and preconceptions, and face what is to be your lot. Sheikh Abu Sa'id ibn Abi Khair. Sufism, said Sir Richard Burton, was the Eastern parent of Freemasonry. F. Hitchman, Burton, Volume 1, page 286. Whether Burton was a Freemason or not, there is no doubt that he was a Sufi. Freemasonry has been upheld by distinguished people in many countries, reviled and persecuted, linked with politics, reduced to the relative informality of staid businessmen's frolics, penetrated by Rosicrucianism, attacked as a Jewish imposture by the Nazis. It would not be seemly for a Freemason to engage upon a public portrayal of any part of the craft's symbolism or beliefs. Indeed, it is more than probable that a member would be under an oath of secrecy, whereby he must preserve every part of the Brotherhood's workings from all who are not initiated. The source of material purporting to be Masonic for the non-member, therefore, is bound to be fairly one-sided, the inner workings of Masonry provided by renegades, and probably by opponents of the craft. When a study is made of all available literature purporting to contain Masonic secrets, certain definite outlines appear, which might justifiably be considered to form a reasonable amount of true information on the no smoke without fire principle. Be that as it may, what interests the Sufi is the fact that out of the material which claims to be partially or wholly Masonic, a very great deal is at once seen to concur with matters of everyday Sufi initiatory practice. Either Freemasonry is, as Burton claimed, derived from the Sufis, or else the substance of the frequent and plentiful exposés, which may not be of Freemasonry at all, are in fact exposures of a Sufic cult other than Freemasonry. For the purposes of this study, we shall approach this exciting part of the inquiry from the only perspective open to us. Parallels will be sought between what the exposers claim to be Freemasonry and what we know of Sufic schools. One of the best methods of tracing Arab Sufi transmission to the West is through terminology. When a certain word is used with an esoteric significance, it is generally worthwhile studying it and seeking a parallel between the two systems. The fundamental word which we find most used in Masonic exposures is composed of the three Hebrew letters A, B, L. Transliterated into Arabic letters, this word proves to be the password of the Sufi society called the Builders, al-Bana, and the Arabic word for Mason is also al-Bana. Far from ending here, the parallels are only just beginning. As in the case of the troubadours, TRB, Arabic root, the Builders, first said to have flourished under this name in the 9th century, chose this triliteral word with care, searching the dictionary for a term which would embrace as many aspects of their organization as possible. The result, analyzed by inflecting the Arabic root in the normal manner, provides this list of characteristics of the school. ABL is monk, sexton, etc., hierophancy. ALB, to gather people together, grouping. Laba, to stop, to halt at a place. Bala, to give a thing, to be beneficent. Bal, heart, mind, attention, state, boldness, welfare. Even without other information which exists about this Sufi school, we can already glean something of their organization and objectives through this breakdown of their secret word. The first word intimates initiation, the second the congregation, the third the stages of the path of the Sufis, the fourth the giving of love and charity, which was their means of expression, the fifth various aspects of their activities and training. Why was the word written in Hebrew and not in Arabic? Some late hand has reshaped the Arabic origins of the craft into a form more acceptable to people with a Judeo-Christian tradition, and we can safely assume from the published materials that it was to just such a community that the modern form of masonry as we know it in the West was addressed. To the Sufi builders, these 3 letters symbolized 3 meditation postures. The Kufic letter Alif was the kneeling position. Dhul-Nun Mizri, one of the greatest Sufi teachers, is believed to have formulated it in this shape. It became powerful in Turkey during the 16th century. Western writers say it is strangely like the Masons. It was illustrated by a set square, a primal symbol of the Masons. In Arabic, again, the word square is RBA, which summarizes meditation very well in its alternative meaning of waiting, restraint. The second letter, ba, is written in Arabic letters like a boat with a dot under it. This forms a fairly passable diagram of its symbol, the level, also used in masonry. This conveys the emblematic meaning of prostration and concentration. The final letter, lam, is likened to a rope. In shape, it is very much like a hook or curving piece of rope. It means to the builder, the rope which binds all in union. There are, according to the Sufis, 99 divine names or attributes. The development of the effect of all these names produces the complete individual. The 100th name is a secret, and becomes known to the seeker only when he has become imbued with the spirit of the others. The number 33 is used by the builders to denote 1/3 of the total training system which produces the first grade of enlightenment. In the numerical system of the Arabic alphabet, where every letter has a number, 33 provides 30 is the letter L, 3 is the letter J. This is the only way in which the number can be split up by this system. If the letters L and J are then considered to spell a word, they constitute the password or initiatory meaning of the first third of Sufi enlightenment. Is there a word LJ or JL in Arabic? Indeed there is. There are both. LJ spells flame, and sufistically stands for illumination, the burning desire of love. JL spells illustrious. The flaming sword, which is reputedly a Masonic emblem, is used by the builders to correspond with this meaning, the 33 names. What of the 100th name? This, strange though it may seem, seems to be the now corrupted original of the strange G-like symbol found within the Masonic star in items of regalia. In the cult of the builders, this G is the Arabic letter Q, which it closely resembles. In colloquial Arabic, the Q sound may be rendered, especially by non-Arabs, as G. The tendency is more marked still in some countries which use Arabic words, but themselves lack the guttural Q sound. And Q stands for the secret, the final element. In the same Arabic letter-number notation, Q is equivalent to the number 100. This method of codes within codes, and using letters and numbers to convey matters which only the initiated understand, is characteristic of dervish poets. And since it occurs in too many particulars for it to be mere coincidence, the Masonic usage and the Sufi one are identical. Take the matter a stage further. If we add the letter Q, the hidden power, to the 3-letter word ALB, eliding the letter A, in Arabic we have a further panorama of hidden meanings. Kabul, beforehand, first, prior, primacy of the cult. Laqb, title, honorific, the distinction of the cult. Qalb, heart, Sufi symbol for contemplation and inner metaphysical contact. The Arabic word QLB is not confined in meaning to the form QALB, heart, which is one of its most familiar forms. In the Sufi sense, QLB is also considered to have the following meanings, all straightforward dictionary derivations of this triliteral root. Qalab, to turn a thing upside down, a reference to the Sufi dictum, the world is upside down. Qalab, to extract the marrow of a palm tree. The palm tree, as noted elsewhere, is the Sufi term for baraka, and the magic square of 15, which contains Sufi diagrammatic and mathematical material. The marrow is used in the sense of the essence, or vital portion. Qalab, to become red, applied to dates, the product of the palm, an allegory of the Sufi process later associated with the alchemical idea of the red elixir. Aqlab, to be baked on one side, used for bread in a special Sufi sense, denoting a part of a developmental process of transformation, analogized with turning one thing, dough, into what seems to be another, bread. Taqalab, to be restless, used of a sleeper turning in his sleep, used as a Sufi technical term to describe the uncertainty felt by the ordinary man who is, according to the convention used by the Sufis, asleep. Qalb, reverse, invert, wrong side. This is also associated with moulding and a matrix, qalib, the formative apparatus. Qalb, heart, mind, soul, intimate thought, marrow, pith, best part. Also used in the compound phrase, qalb al-muqaddas, literally the sacred heart, meaning the part of mankind which partakes of the essence of divinity. And, whether by accident or design, the three letters QLB, when added together, according to Arabic notation, produce 132. This can be read as 32 plus 1 equals 33. But according to the builders, it is an intimation of the secret teaching passed on with great secrecy by one whose name, when calculated by the same method in Arabic, provides the number 33. And this is how they spell it. M is 40, H is 8, M is 40, M is 40, D is 4. The word spelled according to Arab orthography is Muhammad. We are now at the stage when the builders reveal that the Sufic law which they practice was a part of the secret teaching of Muhammad himself. This figure of 33, or the letter Q, the Sufi builders inscribe within a pentagram, and sometimes in a star composed of two triangles. In other esoteric traditions, these superimposed triangles are explained as standing for male and female principles, as air and fire and so on. But to the Sufi builder, the lower triangle is the shaped Arabic numeral 7. The upper one is the outline of the number 8. And taken together, the 6 sides of the two triangles comprise the number 6. This to them means the series 786. And 786 is the religious formula Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, reduced to figures by direct substitution. The meaning of the phrase is the same as that found on a Sufic crucifix from 9th century Ireland, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. The Kaaba, cubical temple of Mecca, was rebuilt in 608 AD when Muhammad was 35 years old, and 5 years before he started his teaching. This temple was built with 31 courses of stone and wood, as Raki quoted by Wisdenfeld in Creswell, Early Muslim Architecture, London 1958, page 1. The Sufis add, with earth and sky, 33. It would be improper to go any further in presenting material which both the Freemasons and organized dervish fraternities possess and consider to be of high initiatory significance. But here is an example of one cryptic interchange. Among the Sufis, NQT, dot, point, sometimes abbreviation, has an important value in conveying teachings. In one aspect, this is connected with the mathematical part of Sufism. The Arabic word for geometrician or architect is muhandis. This is composed of the letters M, H, N, D, S, which are equivalent to the numbers 40, 5, 50, 4, 60. These total 159. These numbers, resplit conventionally into tens, hundreds, and units, yield 100 is Q, 50 is N, 9 is T. These three consonants, combined in the order 2, 1, 3, provide the root NQT. This root means dot, or point. In certain ceremonial usage, therefore, the word point is used to convey the concealed word which is its parent, the word muhandis, the prime builder. There are many other ingredients in this grouping of numbers. An example is this. The first two letters, Q and N, mean in Arabic deep meditation, a word for Sufism. The remaining letter, the T, stands in the Arab occult list for inner knowledge. Hence, in certain situations, special dialogues are used. An example is when an individual at an early stage of membership is being tested for his formal knowledge of how the word code works. A certain dialogue may take place. Questioner: what does the geometrician mean? Applicant: it is represented by the dot, NQT. How is it spelled? Like a dot. What comes after meditation, QN? The inner knowledge, the letter T. Will you tell it to me? I have only 2/3, N and Q. I have the third, T, standing for hidden. But there are some incidental facts which can be mentioned and are of some general interest. Freemasonry, according to some of its historians, came to England in the time of Ethelstan, about 894 to 939, the Saxon king who brought England into close contact with the rest of Europe. His life covered almost the same period as that of the illustrious Spanish Sufi Ibn Masara, 883 to 931, from whose Illuminist school a tremendous and continuing influence upon Western thought has been traced. It was during the same century that Dhul-Nun the Egyptian, the Sufi and reputed founder of the Dervish order of builders, lived and taught. Dhul-Nun, revered by all Sufis, is referred to as having been of Nubian, or black, origin, giving a connection with the adoption of black, fem, and knowledge, understanding, fem, by the dervish school of the Coleman, which we associate with the Carbonari. Black is also another word for Egypt, said to be derived from the colour of the soil. The black art is thought by many to mean nothing more than the Egyptian art, or the art of understanding. By a similar process of thought, the black virgins of the Middle Ages could be translated as the wise virgins. The confusion between the black art, the Hermetic art, and the Egyptian secrets has appeared and reappeared throughout medieval literature. The misunderstanding exists only because of ignorance of the similarity of black and wise in Arabic by foreigners. The connection between black art, alchemy, and Rosicrucianism has baffled many students, who have assumed for the most part that all these things were dabbled in by Europeans of the Middle Ages just because of a general credulity and desire to penetrate secrets and find a hidden teaching. The connection between the Shriners and the Masons has seemed to many observers to be absurd, or some sort of a false association. A Shriner must be a Mason. His ritual is avowedly based upon a myth and ritual connected with the Holy Temple in Mecca. What possible connection, it is sometimes asked, could there be between the Mecca Temple of the Muslims and the Temple of Solomon and its building? There could be a very close connection indeed. First, let it be noted that charges against ancient Sufis included the terrible allegation that a mime of the Mecca pilgrimage ceremonies could be carried out anywhere with equal validity to an actual pilgrimage. Secondly, let us remember that the great Sufi teacher Maruf Kaki, died 815, is known as Son of David and also as King, a common Sufi appellation. The son of David, by association, was Solomon. Solomon it was who rebuilt the temple. Why son of David? Because Kaki was the disciple of the illustrious teacher Daud el-Tai. Daud is Arabic for David. This David died in 781. Less than a century before, about 691, the Saracens rebuilt the Temple of Solomon on the site which is now known as the Dome of the Rock. This, and no earlier one, is the temple whose servants were the Knights Templar, accused of Saracenic leanings. It is no accident that after the dissolution of the Order of the Templars, the Freemason took on Templar traditions. It should not be forgotten that the Kaaba, literally the cube, is the four-square temple of Mecca. The black stone of Mecca is set in an outer corner of the Kaaba. It is thus correctly described as the Kaaba, cube, stone, easily rendered as the cubic stone. It is also called Hajar al-Aswad, black stone. Black, as we have noted, is rendered as coal, and the stone of black can be rendered as Hajar al-Fem, stone of wisdom, or even, in translation, stone of the wise. Second only to this place for all Muslims is the sanctified spot known as the Temple of Solomon in Palestine. Sufi tradition has it that a band of early classical Sufis were a number of men who assembled in the Mecca temple and devoted themselves to its service. On the fall of Jerusalem to the Arabs, the first act of the Muslims was to repair the site of the Solomonic temple to acquire it for Islam. That the Sufi tradition was continued in respect of the Dome of the Rock is evidenced by the fact that its later interior decorations contain Sufi symbolic designs. Templar churches and other indications show the influence of the Saracen version of the Solomonic temple. There are two lines of diffusion of this law to the west, initially through Saracen Spain, with or without Jewish amalgamation of ideas, because Jews were active in cooperation with the Arab Kabbalists, and again through the Crusades, when members of the cult known as the Builders may very well have found similar rituals among the dervishes of the Near East. Finally, the darkness and light motif attributed to Freemasonry has dervish parallels so close that these alone would give one cause to wonder. The dervishes speak of light as truth, illumination. Black, as we have already noted, is associated with wisdom, being homonymous with it in Arabic, and white, too, stands for understanding. Knowing the true meaning of wisdom and light, of good and bad, of the real darkness of the ignorant is the central point in dervish activity. Sufis ultimately in this connection depend upon the light verse of the Quran, Surah 24:35, which says, "Rejectors' deeds are like darkness, darkness upon darkness. No light at all has he who has not Allah's light." This theme is taken up in careful detail by Ghazali, whom we know influenced all the scholastic West. he wrote a book on the subject of light and darkness, The Niche for Lights. The dervish use of the light and darkness theme carries on through the literature. A fair sample is in The Secret Garden of Shabistari, composed in 1319. The dervish path is dark in both worlds, yet it is but the gloom that on the horizon of the desert gladdens the wayfarer and tells the tents are near at hand. Within a day of darkness shineth light. Johnson Pasha's translation, the dialogue of the Gulshan-i-Raz, Cairo 1903, whether from Masonic or Builder sources, is not unknown in English literature. Pope, for instance, Dunciad, Book 4, could have been using a Sufi allegory when he wrote, "Of darkness visible so much be lent, half to show, half veil the deep intent." From our knowledge of dervish usage, we can interpret the mysterious message in a curious and repeated mason's mark which appears in medieval buildings. This is a mark which looks like the figure 4. If the professional masons of the Middle Ages were connected with dervish orders in the West, as the Eastern building workers certainly were, we have a concealed message here. The Sufi diagram known as the magic square of 15 is drawn thus. On the top row 4, 9, 2, on the middle row 3, 5, 7, on the bottom row 8, 1, 6. This square adds up to the number 15, whichever way the lines of figures of 1 to 9 are added up. It is used in Kabbalism as a code frame by means of which to convey a message. This is done by drawing lines to link up the numbers which it is intended to emphasize. If the mason's mark which we are considering is superimposed upon the frame, we can read off which numbers have been involved in the message. The outline crosses all of the squares of the figure, except the one occupied by the number 8. The figure runs down the right-hand column, across the middle row, down the middle column, and links the 3 and the 9. 8 symbolizes the number of perfect expression, the octagon, representing, among other things, the cube. The figure also covers 8 of a total of 9 squares. The meaning here is, the 8, or balance, is the way to the 9. 9 stands in Arabic for the letter ta, whose hidden meaning is secret knowledge. The outline is given additional significance when it is realized that the figure, which looks like a 4 with a bar, sometimes a curve, attached, is also a rough representation of the Arabic word hu, the dervish liturgical word, chanted in order to produce ecstatic states. That the Masons are connected with alchemy through this sign alone is made more likely by the fact that this magic square has been found in use in China and commented upon by recent alchemical researchers, who there link it with both alchemy of the symbolic kind and the Taoist tradition. If further indications were needed, one could refer to the fact that this same magic square is used by Jaber, the patron of both Eastern and Western alchemy, and, as Professor Homeyard remarks, also used by the Sufi society, of which Jaber was a member. Far from an irregular and haphazard collecting of mysterious and unconnected lore, the alchemists, Freemasons, Rosicrucians, Carbonari, and others were almost certainly intermingled, because of the Sufic symbolic constituents in their original or early objective, the development of human consciousness.